Welcome everyone to our new episode of What's New in Dynatrace Observability Connect series. My name is Berkan Akbulut. Today we are covering the Dynatrace platform features of version 280 with Kade from our team. Kade, how are you doing?
Hi Berkan, I'm good. How are you?
All good on my end too. Thank you very much. If you are ready, can you please move on to the next slide so we can take a look at the agenda items for today's session?
Mhm.
Thank you very much. So the first parts will be our playground environments, which any Dynatrace user can access and use as a domain environment to explore our capabilities. Next, and the main focus of our session, will be product updates. Kade will be talking about the platform features released in the version 280, as mentioned. And the final parts, we will briefly mention our community and available resources. Can I see the next slide, please? Okay, so if you don't have a Dynatrace user account yet, and you would like to access the playground tenants, then you just need to go sign up for a trial via this SaaS trial URL, as you see here. If you already have an account, you can simply go and discover our playground environment. And additionally, at the bottom of this page, we have the GitHub page contains lots of tutorials and hands-on training materials, which can help you to engage with our platform. Let's move on the next slide, please. Okay, that's all right. Back to you, Kade.
Thank you, Berkan. Yeah, so let's get into the material today. So today, as Berkan mentioned, we will look into the announcements and new features and enhancements for version 1.280. And yeah, as you are aware already, I assume the new versions are rolled out automatically on Dynatrace SaaS clusters every 2 weeks. And let's get started. So the first announcement is that we now have also DPS for mainframe monitoring. So Dynatrace Mainframe Monitoring provides automatic end-to-end application performance monitoring for transactions, regions, and apps deployed on IBM SaaS OS. And with DPS now you have more flexibility for incremental monitoring rollouts for mainframe monitoring. You pay for active monitoring period, so that means that the downtimes are not paid. And with DPS, you now have more cost transparency and budget management possibilities. The unit of measurement for mainframe monitoring is MSU hour, and we have also a special metric for that you can use and check your consumption in the time dimension.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the transparency and budget management and granularity also increases. That's some challenges on our user side and also our sites. But we are trying to really to give you the exact the consumption information that you have in your tenants. So if you need the help or if you like to understand the consumption logic in the details, we have our rate cards in our documentation. We try to give you that all this the licenses details and that's specifically for the technology. In this case, it's mainframe. And if you still need the help, please always reach out to us or reach out to our team via chat, via ticket, or to our account management team. We really like to increase the transparency for the licensing, especially. So, okay, so this measurement sounds good. And thank you, Kade.
Thank you, Becca. Then the next announcement. The next announcement is that log source and storage configuration will be upgraded automatically for all releases starting with 1.285 in March. And this means that the configuration of log sources that maybe some of you still have been using with the host and process group perspective will be deprecated and you won't be able to use it anymore. The new log ingest rules that have been with us for quite some time now already will be then the standard. And this will give you a highly granular approach for deciding which logs to ingest. So you have include and exclude rules that you can define to really have a good grip and control over which logs you decide to send to the Dynatrace server.
That's
And
nice.
what you also have with this high granularity, you can define the ingest rules based on your Kubernetes metadata, such as deployment or namespace name, but you can also specify specific process groups you want to collect logs for, or you want to exclude. And you can even say that based on log content, you want to have some logs or not, or log level. So if you decide, for example, you want to have only the error logs for specific process groups, you can do so now with the new log ingest
Uh,
configuration.
Kare, do you know if we can automatically convert to that version? That's for now. Do you think it's possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. So with this automatic upgrade, we've released 1.285. All the rules that you configured on the host and process group perspective will be automatically migrated to the new log ingest format rule.
Okay. But before that, I guess it's not based on the user decision, right? It's now, do we have a chance? I don't know. Maybe that's something you can
Yeah,
share,
you
I guess.
can. Yeah, if you go to the configuration of log sources, you will see a banner where you
Oh,
can
okay.
already upgrade to the new log ingest rules. It's a really good question. Thank you, Berkan. So we recommend that you already do it because it brings you, as said, advantages. You have a higher granularity, and it will be the standard anyway soon. So we really recommend to do so already.
Okay, cool.
All right. Then let us briefly check out the announcement for the mainframe monitoring with DPS. So yeah, today, before I now explain the DPS announcement for mainframe monitoring, just a brief overview about the topic, about the release that we discussed today. So we will go through those features and enhancements. So you can just click to the topic that is interesting to you to find additional information. So about mainframe monitoring, we have DPS. Let me show you the metric that you have. So the text of this metric is mainframe monitoring billing usage. You can also enable the advanced mode here with this toggle, and you will see the metric key that lets you chart the consumption of um, the mainframe monitoring capabilities in the time dimension, as you can see here. And this gives you a good control to understand how does the consumption look like. Of course, you can also use the account management to have a centralized look into the consumption of your of your budget for all the different capabilities, including mainframe monitoring. But this is also a way that you can leverage and understand your consumption. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Then let us go to the next section today, which is breaking changes. So on the host monitoring page for a selected host, the auto injection toggle that you can see um, on that you could see before on the monitoring tab is moved to a new tab called Advanced Settings. And you will also have this info banner there that explains this, that it was moved. And when you click on the Advanced Settings tab, you will see the setting. But you need to also consider that the name of the setting changed from auto injection to process agent injection. And what does the process agent injection mean? So this is what enables the implementation of your critical processes to receive detailed knowledge. This includes traces, code level details, automatic front-end instrumentation, and many more aspects. So it's important to know that this moved into a new tab and the name was changed to make it a bit closer to the definition of what happens when you activate or deactivate the toggle.
Also, we have this information, I guess, in the UI itself. They can see directly what is the new page of this feature.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's in general, it is really nice in Dynatrace that we have this pluggable approach, which means that you can disable and enable the modules, sensors, based on the technology, based on the deployment type. That gives you the flexibility to change your deployment type on the hosts, on the machines itself, on the all of the entities actually. And that also gives you to investigate it, that your issues or that the agent behavior on your own, that applications, and process injection is one of them. So that's also a not as significant, not a life-changing update, but a minor UI change. I see that on this host. So thank you.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Berkan, for adding that. And one more thing to consider for this change is that also the structure behind changed. So this is especially important if you rely on automation via the Dynatrace API, if you have some custom scripts, or maybe you have already configuration as code with Monaco implemented or Terraform, then you need to consider that also the schema ID changed. So before it was, as we can see, a built-in host monitoring. Now the new schema ID is built-in host monitoring advanced, and also the JSON body of this schema ID for configuring this setting has changed, and this is how it looks like now. Under properties, there's the new key process agent injection. So if you have some automation, please ensure that you also update the schema ID and the JSON body.
Okay.
All right. Then let's move to application observability. So we have also an UI change. So for the unified attribute privacy settings in the domain of OpenTelemetry, we consolidated the span attribute, the resource attribute, and the span event settings into the attribute capturing settings. So basically the entries, the setting entries were separated before by the source of the attribute. Now, in order to make it easier for you to configure, we put all of that together, and it migrated automatically into this page. But still, we recommend that you verify the environment configuration for the attribute masking to ensure that it is at the state that you expect it to be. Maybe one more information. Why should you care about those attributes? So especially if you leverage OpenTelemetry, those attributes that are basically key value pairs, they provide important and helpful information, metadata to transactions. So to they request the individual traces, and this helps you to understand the individual traces and spans, and it helps you to troubleshoot issues if there is something going on. Such attributes, they may include network attributes like DFP, for example, from where the request was sent from or is sent to. It can also be source code attributes like the function or the method name, or exception attributes with exception message type stack trace. So especially if you use OpenTelemetry, this is something that you should be aware of.
Okay. Also, that for the users that who don't know the exact place of this settings, that's configuration page, you can directly click on the link that's mentioned on the slides and see the exact location, this attribute capturing capabilities from the settings page.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Also put
All
on the
right.
link.
Then let us go to the next section, the platform features and enhancements. So the first feature that we'll discuss now is the aggregation function. So now you have for the QL command timeseries and makeTimeseries command following aggregations. So first for the timeseries, we have now the sum, the average, the min, and max now. And for the makeTimeseries, we have in addition also the count and the COUNTIF um, aggregation function. So you can see here on the slide an example um, that how to use it. So if you have used time series before, it's not that difficult, but we will have a look into those two commands and the aggregation function in the live demo shortly.
Maybe one point
Mhm.
here that as far as I see, the time series command is an early adopter feature. So which means that they are introduced as an opt-in basis, but they are publicly available, fully supported, and production ready. So that also consume licensing. I guess that's exactly the same way that GA features consuming licensing units. Just for information, when you click on the time series command, you will see it in documentation early adopter definition. Below that, it's also just one point I wanted to add. Also, as far as I remember, that we had some functions that already introduced with time series command, but I guess that we extended this function, so that's why we have these updates on this version. Also, I say that you have already an example here, which you said to check out here. Maybe you want to mention this, but I took your part. So if you like to see this specific example, please click on that link. That Kale prepared a notebook, which he will also explain in detail later on the session. Yeah, it's also a cool update, I can say, and very useful. And on the DKL side, thank you.
Thank you, Berkan. All right. Also, we have now we have new functions for DQL queries, which we have listed in this slide as UID, 2UID, UID 1.128 and UID 64. So with this, you can take long expressions and create UIDs, so unique identifiers. And you can also, with the 2UID function, convert a value to UID. And you can also check if a value is an UID with the as UID, which will return the UID if it is one, or otherwise null. But we'll also have a look in the live demo shortly.
Cool.
Then we have the new query builder for notebooks. This is a really awesome new feature and enhancement. So now with the new query builder, you can quickly assemble DQL log queries for in the notebooks or in the dashboard. It's really nice, especially for people that are new to Dynatrace, that are not familiar with the syntax of DQL. It is just one button away to explore the logs and to filter for many different dimensions or attributes, you can call them, like the log source, the content, the status. So this is really a fun way to get intelligence with a few clicks.
This is really good news. That is only available for log queries for now.
Yes, at the moment it's for log queries, but I assume it will be for other data as well. But let's see.
Okay.
All right, then we have also for metrics again some new enhancements. In this case, it's mathematical operations between metrics. So it looks maybe a bit complicated the first time you see it, but we'll break it down in the live demo as well. It's basically quite straightforward. So some of you who have used the time series command already maybe know that you can plot multiple metrics. As we can see here in this slide, for example, the bc.path.memory reclaimable. and the dt.host.memory used. And now you can also use multiple time series and also add them together or multiply them, divide them. So yeah, any mathematical operation that you need, you can use it with the field add command. But we'll have a look in the live demo as well.
Similar capabilities that we had also Data Explorer. Now it's also available on
Yeah.
Grail. Well, that's pretty handy.
Exactly. All right. Yeah, so we have one more feature and enablement in the context of the credential vault. So you can now specify a list of users who can access the credential. So you have a more granular or highly granular approach now that you really can define a list of users that are allowed to access the credential. So it's not now just the owner or all the users, but you can now specify only the owner or a list of users, right? So yeah, it's a really cool new feature that gives you additional grip for configuring who can access it. And one more enhancement that we have in the domain of credential vault is that we have a new scope introduced. It's called the App Engine scope. And this is about making credentials available to Dynatrace apps based on the App Engine. Maybe for those who are not familiar with the topic Credential Vault, what is a Credential Vault? So it's basically a centralized repository where you can securely store and manage your credentials for synthetic monitors. So credentials such as username and password, but it can also be certificates or tokens that you can manage centrally in the Credential Vault.
Okay, it's also that looks useful, and I think it's also the separate application we will see in the platform and in the demo section. So that's really nice. We are increasing the capabilities of Credential Vault, as I believe that it's also one of the core functionalities, especially in synthetic. Now I guess it's I see in App Engine. So thank you.
Yeah. All right, then let us look into the demo. So I will just close the announcement tab. Don't need that anymore. So yeah, let us now look into the notebook for the release 1.280, and we'll now look through the different features of DQL. So first of all, as we discussed, we have now the different aggregation functions for the time series and the makeTimeseries command. Some of them were already there before, but now it's extended. We can see also the example from the slide with the max aggregation that we have there. So it's as you can see, you can easily use this, adapt this, and you will see, like in this case, these spikes for the CPU to understand, okay, how does it look like with potential CPU bottlenecks on one or multiple hosts, depending on the use case, what you're interested in. If we scroll down, we can also see another example with the sum aggregation function for the time series command. So yeah, it's quite straightforward. If we now look into the makeTimeseries command, we can see the usage of the countIf function. So you can see that you can use the countIf to have a conditional counting. So maybe you don't want to count all the logs, but only the logs that have the log level error. You could do so also with the count by just having a filter before. But where this really comes in handy is if you want to combine different aggregation functions, as we can see in the next example. So we have here, for example, for this event, we want to count the occurrence of records, but with the number of counts that we have for the different dimensions, we also want to have kind of sub counts. So as we can see here, we have, for example, a count of 2, but we also want to have a sub count of pi volume. So this can be the same number as the count, but it can be less, of course, depending on if the condition was met or not. So this is really something that helps you to create amazing reports with different granularity levels by combining the different aggregation functions. Okay, then we have the new DQL functions as mentioned in the slide. So this is what this looks like. So you can use the UID 64 or 128 command to create UIDs from log numbers, and the toUID you use for conversion, and the suid to check if it is indeed a UID. As we can see here, in the column A, we have the potential UID values, and on the right side, we can see if that's indeed an UID value or not. And as you can see, this 123 is not an UID value, so it returns null. So if you have some use cases for UIDs, this is how you could use it.
By the way, this notebook is also shared for all the users that access the Playground environment, right? So they can easily download and upload the notebooks to their environment and use it for in their own tenants.
Yeah, that's correct. Good. Then let's look into the new query builder. So we have this also well documented, but it's quite straightforward to use, but still check the documentation so that you don't miss anything. But basically, you click on a plus and you go to Explore Logs, and from there you can configure the different attributes, like looking for specific log source content or status. And as we can see below, I did already for a specific log source. I defined the value. I looked for payment related content, and I focused on two log statuses, as you can see here. So this really gives you a click around view with which you can easily find out interesting perspectives into the data that you have. Furthermore, what you can do as well is when you have this explore logs configured with the attribute, you can also make a DQL query out of it. But before I show you that, let me also mention one more point. So when you click on the plus sign there, you can also find available commands and filters there that you can use. You can also search for fields there and yeah, have additional dimensions that you want to filter on. Another thing that I already scratched upon is that you can create a DQL section out of this Explore Logs view. So if you click on Create DQL section, you will see a DQL query automatically created based on the input that you provided, based on the clicks that you made. And that's really useful if you're new to DQL to get quickly onboarded with creating reports, with looking into your application logs and find out what are some issues, for example.
I guess many of our users have been waiting for this feature, so it's good to see it finally.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So then let us also discuss the new metric mathematical operations. So as I mentioned, it's quite straightforward to have multiple time series started in the time dimension. So in this case, we have two time series. You can also do it with 3, 4, or more. And you can now easily also conduct mathematical operations with those different time series by just adding a new line, the fields add command, defining the result or the goal or the target where you want to save the resulting time series, and have those two time series that you as you can see charted there. Yeah, you just add them together. Important to know you have to use the bracket, the operator for that, because you want to conduct the mathematical operations on the time series, on the individual values, so that you again receive a time series as the output, and you may also remove the input time series if you want, and then you can easily chart the result like we can see here. Yeah, and you can use it, of course, for many other examples, as Berkan mentioned, similar to the Data Explorer view before, where you were able to conduct mathematical operations with the with the classical stochastic metrics.
Is there any metric limitation on this here? No, I guess, right? It's available for all the metrics in Grail.
Yeah, for the metrics in Grail, you should be able to conduct those mathematical operations. So there shouldn't be any limitation.
That's
all right.
Okay.
So then we are at the end of this DQL walkthrough. So let us also look now into the Credential Vault. So you may be wondering.
By the way, we will also put that notebook in below of the YouTube description, so you can easily find it if you need to access directly. And also you can access this notebook that I prepared directly from the slide. Just explore this, use it.
Yeah. Good. So we also have now the Credential Vault feature that we want to showcase. So you can easily find the Credential Vault if you search for it. So it's just typing Credential Vault, and you will find the app for that. If you maybe still use the classic UI, you can also find it easily in the menu on the left side. And yeah, so when you open up the Credential Vault, you will see that there is a big banner that announces or advertises the new feature with and also with a description and the link to the documentation. And basically, when you want to add a new credential, you will see that there are some fine changes. So you will see that you can not only define different types for a credential as you could before, but you will also see that you can define this credential in addition for the scope, synthetic, and extensions also for the App Engine. And if you work with App Engine, if you implement applications based on Grail, based on the new Dynatrace platform, this is the setting that you will activate. And you also have a fine granularity there to decide which apps have access to this credential. By default, it's all apps, but you can define here if you want to limit it to a set or to one specific app. There's also the checkbox to have the credential access only for the owner. But you can now also define a list of users, or if you keep it empty, it's accessible to all users. But yeah, it's a simple list of emails that is comma separated. You define it here in this text box, and yeah, this is then how it is done. You can see it's well described, the different text boxes, the settings. But of course, you can also find the documentation or reach out to us in chat or to your designated CSM or product specialist if you have any questions.
I guess the owner access is only enabled by default, right? When we clicked on it.
Yeah, so you mean the access to all users?
Yes. So it's enabled on a owner access only, and you just need to switch off if you like to make it available for all users. Okay, that's
exactly. Yeah, that's right. All right. So much about this. Then let's go to the next section, which is digital experience. So we have a small addition now for the configurations for HTTP monitors. So maybe you know this already. So before we had the setting do not store and display request and response bodies or header values. And now we augmented the setting also to include peer certificate details. So if you want to exclude this also from storage and display, you can do so now with this setting. And how does this look? Let me briefly show you. So when we now look into one example HTTP synthetic monitor, when you go into execution details, you can search for the peer certificate details under attributes execution peer certificate details. So this is when you have this checkbox disabled, so you will see a lot of information, and for your team or for your enterprise, it may be the request that you disable that it's not shown, as there may be some information that you do not want to have stored and displayed on Dynatrace. So what you can do, you can go to your HTTP monitors settings. So I'll just click back to the overview, click on the edit button, and under the individual requests, you can specify this setting. So I'll just click on the first request there. And when you scroll down, you will see this setting, do not store and display request and response bodies, header values, and peer certificate details in execution details. So when I activate this now, for any request that will happen after that, it won't be stored anymore. And you can do this on the level of individual HTTP requests. So if you just do it for the first request, you need to check also the second one and ensure that you activate it there if you want it to be active for the entire HTTP monitor, like in this case. Okay.
Okay.
So this also brings us now to the end of the today's walkthrough of the new features and enhancements. And yeah, feel free to ask questions and provide feedback in the Dynatrace community feedback channel. We are always eager to improve on the content that we deliver, on the way we deliver it. Please also look into the webinars that we offer via Dynatrace University, and we're always more than happy to assist you live in product chat that you can easily start. And yeah, feel free also to reach out to us via your designated CSM or any other resource that you have from Dynatrace, and we are happy to assist you.
Thanks a lot, Kale. Thank you for your time and your effort. I know it's not easy to collect all this information, to explain all these different features from different areas, and I'm speaking from my experience. So thank you for all this content and effort. Again, just to re-emphasize that please always reach out to our team, guys, via chats, and we will most likely, almost, let's say 100% that we will come back to you in 1-2 minutes in chat. But of course, there are sometimes that queues on our conversations. And the chat is that's where we can easily sync internally with all our teams, all departments. So please use it as a main resource as much as possible. And you will see the value that once you increase your usage on conversation. So I think that's all. Thanks again, Kade. And I wish you a great day. And yeah. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.